I'll give you my thoughts as we watch this because this is a kind of wild video.
You wrote a piece in the Times just today, and you said, it is time for us to accept that American politics is identity politics. Tell us what you meant by that.
This is Tracy McMillan Cottom. This is on the Daily Show, I believe. They are doing this segment. This is one of the people that unfortunately teaches your children when you drop them off at college. Academia is rotten to the core. They push a lot of this nonsense. If you wonder why a lot of young people unfortunately fall victim to just general socialism, Marxism, and some of these concepts that you find unfavorable, oftentimes it is because they have clowns like this that are leading them. It doesn't matter how much you think that you can reverse that when they're spending several hours with these guys through the weeks, and also just around it, and as far as its atmosphere on a given college campus, all the time surrounded by it, its attitude, its ethics. Of course, they're going to come out as leftists. It's just how it works. Okay, this person is going to go on about identity politics and why it's actually good.
By that,
I meant that we have spent a lot of time, and by we, again, I mean myself, people in the media, I think academics, researchers, and politicians certainly have spent a lot of time saying that identity politics is dangerous, or at least it's murky, right?
So that in itself goes to show that this whole time that they have been perpetuating this concept of identity politics, which is essentially you hyper focusing on the identity of someone over its ideas, over their ideas, and obviously assigning these political positions to them based upon that, right? And this person is so oblivious, or rather they are so out of touch, that even though we've been seeing this is exactly what they have been doing, she's actually making the case or believes that they haven't been doing it enough, or haven't been doing it at all, or rather have been denouncing it, which isn't true, right? Democrats especially, their entire policy, the crux of it, it's not really a policy at all, is it? It's identity politics. Again, if we're defining it as I just did, that's all it's ever been. Especially if you want to talk about of the last decade. I mean, they've been doing this forever, but especially they've ramped it up. So imagine that. I think that context is very important here. This person is saying that they often find it to be murky, was a term that she uses. They like to say that they're not doing it or that it's a bad thing. So this whole time, they believe that they hadn't been participating in this or have been trying to run away from it. That's fucking insane.
Or at least it's murky, right? This is why we said Occupy was a distraction for the Democrats. Black Lives Matter was a distraction for the Democrats, right? The feminist movement is a distraction for the Democrats because they won't focus on real issues that matter to real Americans.
It's funny how even when she's speaking obviously as a tongue-in-cheek kind of thing, like, hey, they have been saying this and they have been wrong. And that's the only time that they can ever say something that's correct. Yes, that had been an issue for the Democrats. That had been an issue for them focusing on all of these things because they thought that, well, because we control the conversation, and they did, they still do, largely in some of the things she mentioned. She talked about academia, politicians, and entertainment, all that stuff. So yeah, they do still control some of those avenues, particularly with entertainment, as well as academia, for sure. That said, she believes I'll say that she's doubling down. Everybody in the chat's going to say that she's doubling down. But I think it's very, very important that she's saying that they haven't been doing it at all. And the only time she can stumble across her correct position is when she's basically being smug.
Right. The problem with that is that you assume that the only people with an identity are women and people of color. But as
I know the term projection is used so often, overused. A lot of people don't know what it means. It's like a term like gaslight. These are words that have actual meaning. That said, what she just did is a textbook. If she's speaking on behalf of just the American left, is a projection. You're the ones that often believe that all there is to someone is the fact that they are a person of color or a woman, which these days you seem to have a very difficult time in even defining what that is.
And people of color. But as Donald Trump has proven, what he has proven and the way he has won has proven is that every voter has an identity. Every voter has an identity, and he tapped into one of the most powerful of American identities. He tapped into white identity.
you know, yeah, they're stupid. And I've said before, you can't reason a person out of a position that they got to by way of emotion. So I don't sit up here and say what I say or even react in it in the way that I do as if it's going to change people that think like her in their minds, because it's not. This is more for the people that maybe have some sense. Maybe they stumbled across the wrong position, but they at least try to analyze things for what they actually are, not for what they want them to be. Again, maybe you veered off in the wrong direction and you stumbled across the like maybe the solutions that you advocate are just wrong, but at least you're analyzing things correctly, or at least reason is something that you're capable of doing or being able to reason. So when you see me like, okay, palm in the face, on the face, it's because it's like, that's the person that I'm like hoping sees this and can understand this person is completely out of their wit, right? So some people have argued, and I can for sure see where they are coming from, that demonizing Trump in the way that they have, and more his base, is what got y'all in trouble. It's what part of what got us to the point that we are at right now. This person has no bit of self-awareness, even though she's coming from the position of we need to correct course. It's just the solution that she is advocating is going to further derail, right? Whatever the hell it is that she wants. And you can maybe argue, great, how about you keep doubling down? I guess, touche.
Right. And he said, you don't need to be ashamed of this identity. I'm going to give it a name and I'm going to make you feel good about it. And you don't have to sacrifice a thing. Donald Trump played identity politics like a fiddle. So when you say that the Democrats lose because we play identity politics, it simply isn't true. This is about whose identities win when you appeal to them. That means you should double down on the identities of your base.
So she's essentially saying their base is non-whiteness. Trump's base is whiteness, right? Not anything else. It's just whiteness. He tapped into that and therefore win. Again, it doesn't make any sense.
You should go out to them. Something I think Democrats really only did cosmetically this time, but to take seriously what the members of your base want.
They do it cosmetically, right? And it's always been that way. But I think what she's having a difficult time understanding is that potentially, maybe you're wrong, Tressie, maybe your base is wrong, that those positions that they advocate and they want of them are just not what the general American people also want. And that's not there's no reflection there. And this is why one could hope it's Republicans, it's their momentum to lose, right? Because they're going to continue to double down. She's advocating that's exactly what they do, right? So it's if you aren't taking advantage of this, you deserve to take an L going into the future if that's the case, right? Because there's no self-reflection, there's no self-awareness, there's no looking in the mirror and potentially coming to the conclusion that you were wrong. None of that exists. It's, well, we didn't listen to the base enough. Well, Trump tapped into whiteness. That was his identity, white people and what they wanted, and therefore that's why he won. And therefore we need to double down and on these other identity politic-based things and actually, instead of cosmetically, right, whatever that means, we need to be going to the base, or rather putting forth some of the things that base, which has terrible ideas and what they advocate. It's unbelievable.
Seriously, what the members of your base want based on who they are and how they view themselves. I think if we did that, we would have understood why young men are anxious. I think we would have understood why young women could, yes, be afraid of a post-Dobbs America, but not think that the woman president would help them, right? I think that if you appeal more directly, actually, to people's identities, how they see their identities, then you could play the game that Trump has played, but without all of the nefarious, self-serving, self-aggrandizement.
So essentially what they're saying is, or what she is saying is that, well, they they have the right identity politics, right? So Trump, even though that's not necessarily what he's playing, and again, you guys know, I'm not like some fucking MAGA hat wearing Trump supporter. Never have been. And I can see this for what it actually is. These people are retarded. But you want to talk about, listen to what she says at the end of this.
Played, but without all of the nefarious, self-serving, self-aggrandizement.
So to me, that defines all those three terms: talk self-aggrandizing, nefarious. Am I wrong in thinking that more accurately defines them? The fuck? Because think about it. What she's essentially saying is everybody else is wrong. Okay. And they'll play identity politics. They've long been playing it, but they should be playing it more, is what she's saying. They didn't play it enough. And when they do it, it's the correct way. It's the correct position. It's not nefarious. Like I said, you can look at it one way and say, well, maybe I hope that you continue to do that. Maybe. But from what I've seen, it's the same with the folks that have sat up here and advocated. Not even advocation. It's more, again, lack of self-awareness or just being completely delusional. And myself, I'm referring to like them as the American left. There are folks out there that are all over the media, CNN and such, saying that Kamala Harris ran the perfect campaign. How do you reason with that person? You can't, is the point that I'm trying to make. It's impossible. It's impossible to reason with that person. Like, if you come to the conclusion that she ran the perfect campaign, you're out. I'm sorry, you're out of your fucking mind. Thanks for watching. Be sure to head over to Rippaverse.com to check out our comic book company. We have books, plenty of merchandise, and even some glorious animations from Rippaverse Studios.